Hey guys, Eric here from Fired Up Brews and Barbecues. Today we're gonna smoke some brisket. Now what is the key to a good brisket? Everybody knows, right? It's a lot of time. And so it's 4 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna get this bad boy trimmed. We are gonna get the smoker going. You're gonna wanna see this one. Stay tuned. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to trim this up. This is a prime, USDA prime. It's the entire brisket. So this is a beef brisket whole from Costco. And we're going to take this out. We're going to trim it. Now a lot of guys like to use this prime brisket injection. You can get this online. I'm not using it today. I'm actually just going to use a salt and pepper, do Texas style. A lot of people when they do competitions and things, they like to use the injections. It does help if you're trying to really impress. It gives you a little extra flavor, but it does add a lot of stuff to it. A lot of extra salt and stuff. So we're going to leave this out today. What I'm going to do is take this out of the packaging. I'm going to trim it up. We're going to get salt and pepper on it and then fire up the smoker. Got my new knife here. Pretty sweet. What you want to do is get all this extra fat off here. You want to get it so that it's pretty much lean. That way the smoke will absorb a little bit better. All right guys, as you can see, the top side's pretty easy. The tricky part is the back side. So this is obviously a big layer of fat. You want to trim this layer of fat down, and you want it to be even, and you want it to be about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. So I'll have to trim this out, make it as even as I can. You can also square up your brisket if you'd like to make it a little bit easier for cutting and presentation. This one's pretty good already, so we're just gonna roll with it. I'm going to go ahead and cut the back side of this off and get this fat cap to about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. All right, guys, that's kind of what it looks like when it's trimmed up. Now, a couple things when you're trimming a brisket. It's really an art. You can really hack it up bad if you're not careful. This is not a perfect trim, but it works for today. You're looking for 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and you're trying to make it consistent. And you can just kind of tell when you're trimming it, there's some really thick layers of fat versus softer layers of fat. You want to get that hard stuff out of there. You can see how much I trimmed. It's quite a bit. So, depending on what you're paying per pound, you are paying for a lot of fat that you're trimming off, but you got to get this thing trimmed off or it's never going to cook right. It's going to take forever and it's not going to have a good flavor to it. So that's about what you're looking for on the fat side. And we're going to cook it on the fat side down, and that's what it should look like on the top side. All right, guys, I trimmed up a little bit more over here, and this is looking really good. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and season it. You can use whatever you want. Obviously, if you're doing Texas style, you're going for a coarse pepper and, a coarse kind of salt. So we're just gonna put a nice layer of salt and pepper all over both sides of it, and she's ready to go to the smoker. So I'm just using a pepper grinder. You can adjust the coarseness how you like it. Kind of want it a little bit coarse for this. About like that's probably good. You just don't want it real fine. That's looking pretty good right there. You want to just get a nice layer of it. Typically I do the salt first. So we'll do that. We'll put a little bit more pepper on it. This is just a pink Himalayan salt or whatever from Costco, but you can use kosher salt usually, or as long as you want something that's a little bit coarse like this. All right, guys, that's what it looks like. That's the consistency you want on your seasoning. I'm gonna flip it on the back side, just give it a little bit on that side as well. All right, guys, this is about how I like mine. You can adjust this how you like, but that's the kind of consistency I like with my salt and pepper. So again, all we did was a coarse ground salt and pepper on both sides, no injection. And we're gonna throw this on the smoker. We're gonna smoke it at 225 degrees. It's not so much about the amount of time, although it does take forever. This is a little bit smaller brisket. It's probably about 11 pound brisket. I think it was 10.5 pounds. So generally speaking, you're like looking at an hour to hour and a half per pound. But what you're really trying to do is you're trying to get the internal temperature to 165, and then you're gonna wrap it in butcher paper, and you're gonna get it up past 200 degrees. So that's what we're gonna do. We're using the Yoder YS640 today. I'm using a gourmet blend for the wood pellets. And we're gonna smoke this low and slow. It's gonna be on the smoker all day. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning, so we're gonna get it on. That way it's ready tonight for dinner. All right, guys, early morning. Sun is just coming up. We're gonna get this brisket on the smoker. This is my YS640 pellet smoker. If you don't know what that is, I do have a couple different videos on my channel, even a review of this actual cooker. So take a look at that. We're gonna throw this on the smoker at 225 degrees. We're gonna smoke it till it gets to internal temperature of 165 degrees. We're actually gonna put the point near the heat source, which is over there. So I'm going to put this on. I've got a water pan in here. You don't need the water pan, but I like that for extra steam to keep it moist in the chamber. We're gonna go ahead and throw that on there, and I'll be right back. Actually, I've got this set up where I can record it, so okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do is flip that way. We're gonna put this right over the water pan. You want your flat, this is your flat over here. You want your point towards the heat source, and just position this water pan below it. It's going to keep the chamber moist. It's also going to collect a lot of those juices. All right, we're going to let this smoke until the internal temperature is 165 degrees. Again, I'm smoking at 225. Once this gets up to 165 degrees, we're going to wrap it in butcher paper, and then we're going to put it back in the smoker and get the smoker up to, get the internal temperature up to a little over 200 degrees. And then we're going to let it rest for about an hour before serving. Okay, guys, we are at 165 degrees internal temperature on our brisket. She's looking really good. Looks real good. So we're gonna wrap this in butcher paper and then put it back and get it up to 203 degrees internal temperature. All right, the brisket's double wrapped. We put it right back in the same spot, fat side down. Right now the internal temperature is 165 degrees. We want to get this up to 203 degrees. We're gonna let it sit in the smoker for a few more hours until it gets up to the right temp. All right, guys, this has been a long cook. We had a long stall. I did it low and slow. It's been a long day. It's about a 16-hour cook. We're at 201 degrees. I'm gonna pull this thing out. We're gonna let it rest for probably about 30 to 45 minutes, maybe a little longer before we eat it, but she is ready to go. All right, so this bad boy has been resting for about an hour. It has been a long day. We're gonna unwrap this and taste it. Look at that. Oh, look at that. That's really good. Perfect brisket. So yeah. No matter what, brisket takes a long time. It's always worth the payoff. But whenever you cook a brisket, make sure you have lots of time. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.